All right, let's dive in. Number 7. The ZUIYO-MARU carcass, the dinosaur that wasn't. On April 25, 1977, a Japanese fishing trawler called the ZUIYO-MARU was cruising off the coast of New Zealand when the crew hauled up something that would spark one of the wildest media frenzies in cryptozoology history. Tangled in their nets was a massive, rotting carcass that looked like it came straight out of Jurassic Park. This thing was enormous, weighing about 4,000 pounds and stretching roughly 32 feet long. It had a long neck, a small head, 4 large fins that looked like flippers, and a body shape that was eerily similar to a plesiosaur. You know, those long-necked marine reptiles that supposedly went extinct 66 million years ago. The crew was absolutely stunned. They took photos, measurements, and tissue samples before tossing the carcass back into the ocean because honestly, it smelled so horrifically bad that keeping it on board was unbearable. When the ZUIYO-MARU returned to port, those photographs went viral, 1970s style. Japanese newspapers ran headlines suggesting they'd found a living dinosaur. The discovery became a national sensation. They even printed a commemorative stamp featuring the creature. Scientists, fishermen, and conspiracy theorists all weighed in with their opinions. Some were convinced this was proof that prehistoric creatures still lurked in the deep ocean, while skeptics suspected something far less exciting. But here's where the story takes a turn. When researchers finally analyzed those tissue samples under a microscope, the verdict was clear and kind of disappointing. This wasn't a plesiosaur or any kind of prehistoric reptile. It was a basking shark, the second largest living fish species on Earth. Now, you might be thinking, how does a shark look like a dinosaur? Well, when basking sharks decompose in seawater, they do something really weird. The lower jaw and gill arches fall off first, leaving behind what looks like a small head on a long neck. The body decays in a way that creates that distinctive plesiosaur silhouette. It's basically nature's greatest catfish, pun absolutely intended. What makes this story fascinating isn't just the mistaken identity, it's how perfectly it demonstrates our desire to believe in the impossible. The ocean is so vast and unexplored that finding a living dinosaur doesn't seem that crazy. And honestly, even though we know this was just a dead shark, the fact that the deep ocean still hides creatures we've never seen keeps that possibility alive. Speaking of impossible ocean discoveries. Number 6. BIMINI Road, the highway to Atlantis. In 1968, a pilot named Robert Brush was flying over the shallow waters near North Bimini Island in the Bahamas when he spotted something bizarre below the crystal clear water. There, lying on the ocean floor, was what appeared to be a perfectly straight road made of enormous rectangular stone blocks, stretching for roughly half a mile. When divers investigated, they found these limestone blocks were huge, some weighing several tons, and they were arranged in remarkably straight lines with rounded corners, almost like someone had deliberately paved an ancient underwater highway. The formation is about 15 to 20 feet below the surface, which means if it was man-made, it would have been built when sea levels were much lower, potentially thousands of years ago. Now, here's where things get wild. Just 3 years before this discovery, a famous American psychic named Edgar Cayce, who died in 1945, had made a prediction that portions of Atlantis would begin to appear near Bimini in 1968 or 1969. When Bimini Road was discovered right on schedule, believers in the lost city of Atlantis absolutely lost their minds. This had to be it, proof that an advanced ancient civilization once existed in the Caribbean. The Atlantis theory gained so much traction that it spawned books, documentaries, and countless expeditions to the site. Some researchers claim to find additional structures nearby, including what they described as harbor works and building foundations. The narrative was irresistible: an ancient, advanced culture, lost technology, mystical predictions coming true. But scientists who studied the formation came to a much less exciting conclusion. Bimini Road is almost certainly a natural geological formation called beach rock. This happens when sediment on beaches gets cemented together by calcium carbonate, creating these large rectangular slabs. As sea levels rise and erosion occurs, the beach rock fractures along natural lines, creating those suspiciously geometric shapes that look so intentionally designed. Multiple geological surveys have confirmed that the rocks are native to the area and show no evidence of being quarried, transported, or intentionally shaped by humans. The road is just beach geology doing what beach geology does, creating patterns that our brains interpret as artificial because we're wired to see design where sometimes there's only randomness. Still, there's something poetic about the idea of Atlantis hiding beneath the waves, waiting to be rediscovered. And while Bimini Road probably isn't that mythical city, it reminds us that the ocean floor holds countless secrets, some natural, some human-made, and some that blur the line between the two. But what about structures that definitely aren't natural? Number 5. The Baltic Sea Anomaly, the underwater Millennium Falcon. On June 19, 2011, a Swedish treasure hunting team called Ocean X was scanning the floor of the Baltic Sea with side-scan sonar, searching for shipwrecks and lost cargo. What they found instead was something that looked like it had flown straight out of a Star Wars movie and crashed into the ocean. The sonar image showed a circular structure roughly 200 feet in diameter, with unusual geometric features. But here's what made it genuinely bizarre. The object appeared to have what looked like a runway or track leading up to it, as if something had skidded across the seafloor before coming to rest. The shape bore an uncanny resemblance to the Millennium Falcon, Han Solo's iconic ship, complete with rounded edges and distinctive formations. When Ocean X returned to the site to investigate further, things got even stranger. Multiple crew members reported that their electrical equipment, satellite phones, cameras, and even their boat's instruments would malfunction when they got within about 200 meters of the anomaly. As soon as they moved away, everything would start working again. This electrical interference sparked immediate speculation. Was this some kind of crashed UFO? An ancient alien base? A secret military installation? The internet exploded with theories. Some suggested it was an extraterrestrial craft that had crash-landed thousands of years ago, now covered in sediment. Others proposed it might be a Nazi anti-submarine device from World War II, since the Baltic Sea saw heavy combat. The most ambitious theorists claimed it could be a portal or gateway to another dimension, which honestly would be pretty cool if remotely true. Ocean X released underwater photos and video that showed what appeared to be stone formations with unusually straight lines and right angles. They claimed to have found soot and scorch marks, suggesting fire or some kind of impact event. The media coverage was massive, and the anomaly became one of the most talked about underwater mysteries of the 2010s. However, when actual geologists and marine archaeologists examined the evidence, they reached a far less exciting conclusion. The Baltic Sea anomaly is almost certainly a natural geological formation called a glacial deposit. During the last ice age, massive glaciers moved across this region, carrying rocks and sediment. When the ice melted, it dropped these materials and formations that can create surprisingly geometric shapes. The circular structure is likely a deposit of glacial till, rocks, clay, and debris left behind when the ice retreated. The straight lines and angular features are the result of natural fracturing and erosion patterns. As for the electrical interference, that claim has never been independently verified, and no scientific instruments have detected any unusual electromagnetic activity at the site. So while the Baltic Sea anomaly might not be an alien spacecraft, it's still a fascinating example of how nature can create structures that look impossibly artificial. But speaking of things that actually are artificial, Number 4. The Golden Orb, the mystery that's still unsolved. Fast forward to August 30th, 2023, the NOOA research vessel Okeanos Explorer is conducting a deep-sea expedition in the Gulf of Alaska, exploring the ocean floor at a depth of nearly 2 miles, about 3,300 meters down. The remotely operated vehicle's cameras are scanning the rocky seafloor when suddenly the operator spots something that absolutely should not be there. Sitting on the rocks is a smooth, golden-colored sphere, roughly the size of a grapefruit with a texture that scientists described as resembling skin or fine silk. The object appears to be soft, almost organic, and most bizarre of all, there's a strange irregular hole or tear in its surface, as if something either went in or came out. The research team is immediately baffled. The deep ocean at this depth is cold, dark, and hostile. Life exists down here, but it tends to be adapted to extreme conditions. Bizarre, translucent creatures that don't look anything like this perfect golden sphere. The scientists use the ROV's mechanical arm to carefully pick up the object and place it in a collection container to bring back to the surface for analysis. When footage of the discovery was shared online, the internet did what the internet does best, completely lost its mind. The comment sections exploded with theories. Was this an egg from an unknown species of deep-sea creature? Some kind of strange sponge or coral formation? An alien probe? The eggs from the Alien movies? Seriously, the resemblance to xenomorph eggs was noted by basically everyone. NOAA scientists immediately began running tests, DNA analysis, chemical composition studies, microscopic examination, everything they could think of to identify this mysterious golden orb. Initial assessments suggested it could be a biological specimen, possibly the egg casing of an unknown marine species or a type of sponge. The texture and material composition indicated organic origin, but nothing matched any known species in the database. And here's the thing that makes this discovery particularly unsettling. As of right now, we still don't have a definitive answer. The genetic testing is ongoing, and researchers haven't been able to conclusively identify what this thing is or where it came from. It remains one of the most recent and genuinely unexplained discoveries from the deep ocean. Number 3. The PANTELLERIA VECCHIA megalith. In 2015, marine archaeologists conducting surveys south of Sicily in the Strait of Sicily made a discovery that fundamentally challenged our understanding of ancient human capabilities. At a depth of about 130 feet, they found a massive worked stone monolith, roughly 40 feet long and weighing an estimated 15 tons, broken into two large pieces. Now, finding stones underwater isn't particularly unusual, but this was different. This stone showed unmistakable signs of human engineering. It had 3 regularly spaced holes drilled through it, each about 2 inches in diameter, clearly created by deliberate human action with some kind of ancient drilling technology. The stone had been quarried, shaped, transported, and erected by people who lived approximately 10,000 years ago during the Mesolithic period. Here's what makes this absolutely mind-blowing. 10,000 years ago, that area wasn't underwater. It was dry land, part of a now submerged archipelago that connected Sicily to the North African coast. As the last ice age ended and sea levels rose by over 400 feet, this entire region was gradually flooded, preserving whatever structures humans had built there. The size and sophistication of this megalith suggests an organized society with surprising technical capabilities. Moving a 15-ton stone requires planning, tools, manpower, and engineering knowledge that archaeologists didn't think Mesolithic cultures possessed. These were supposed to be hunter-gatherers, not monument builders. Yet here's physical proof that 10,000 years ago, people in the Mediterranean were quarrying massive stones, drilling precision holes, and constructing what was likely a pier, breakwater, or coastal structure. The discovery raises profound questions about what else might be down there. If one structure survived, there could be others, entire settlements, temples, or monuments now hidden beneath centuries of sediment on the Mediterranean seafloor. The megalith suggests that ancient peoples were far more technologically advanced than we've given them credit for. Moreover, it highlights how much of human history is literally lost beneath the waves. As sea levels rose after the Ice Age, countless coastal settlements and structures were submerged. The Pantelleria Vecchia megalith might just be one tiny fragment of a much larger story, a vast network of ancient coastal civilizations whose achievements are now scattered across the ocean floor, waiting to be discovered. But if ancient human engineering surprises you, wait until you hear about what we found that might not be from Earth at all. Number 2. The Papua New Guinea metal spheres. In June 2023, Harvard astrophysicist Dr. Avi Loeb led one of the most ambitious and controversial deep-sea expeditions in recent history. His target wasn't a shipwreck or lost civilization. He was hunting for fragments of IM-1, a meteor that crashed into the Pacific Ocean near Papua New Guinea in 2014, which scientists believe may have originated from outside our solar system, making it the first confirmed interstellar object to impact Earth. Using a specialized magnetic sled dragged across the ocean floor, Loeb's team collected sediment from the meteor's impact zone. When they analyzed the material back in the lab, they found something extraordinary. Dozens of tiny metallic spherules, essentially microscopic metal balls created when the meteor vaporized upon impact and its molten material cooled into these perfect spheres. But here's where things get genuinely strange. The chemical composition of these spherules is anomalous. They contain extremely high levels of iron but surprisingly low levels of nickel, a ratio that doesn't match any known meteor composition from our solar system. Standard meteors have a consistent iron-to-nickel ratio, but these spherules are way off that baseline, suggesting they could genuinely be from another star system. Loeb, who is known for his willingness to consider unconventional hypotheses, proposed something even more provocative. What if IM-1 wasn't just a natural meteor? What if it was artificial, a probe or piece of technology created by an extraterrestrial civilization? The unusual composition, the interstellar trajectory, and the structural characteristics of the object before it burned up all raise questions that mainstream science isn't comfortable asking. The scientific community is deeply divided on this. Skeptics argue that the spherules could be contamination from industrial sources, remnants of past human activity in the ocean, or simply natural meteors with unusual but not impossible compositions. They point out that making extraordinary claims about alien technology requires extraordinary evidence, and microscopic metal balls, while interesting, don't meet that threshold. Loeb counters that dismissing anomalous findings without thorough investigation is exactly how we might miss groundbreaking discoveries. He's planning additional expeditions to collect more material and conduct more comprehensive analysis, including searching for larger fragments that might have survived the impact intact. And if there's even a remote possibility they're artificial, that would fundamentally change our understanding of our place in the universe. The search continues, and every new finding either strengthens or weakens the extraterrestrial technology hypothesis. But the fact that a Harvard astrophysicist is seriously investigating the possibility of alien artifacts at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean tells you just how far the boundaries of acceptable scientific inquiry have expanded. Number 1. The Antikythera mechanism. In 1901, a group of Greek sponge divers was working near the small island of Antikythera between mainland Greece and Crete when they discovered a Roman-era shipwreck dating to around 60 BCE. The wreck was loaded with treasures, marble statues, pottery, glassware, the usual stuff you'd expect from an ancient cargo ship. But among the artifacts, divers pulled up several corroded lumps of bronze that didn't look like much, just unidentifiable chunks of oxidized metal fused together after 2,000 years underwater. For decades, these bronze lumps sat in storage at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. But in 1951, a researcher named Derek de Sola Price decided to actually examine them closely. What he discovered hiding inside that corrosion was something that absolutely should not exist, a complex mechanical computer from the 1st century BCE. The Antikythera mechanism, as it came to be known, is arguably the most sophisticated piece of technology from the ancient world ever discovered. It contains at least 30 precisely crafted bronze gears, some as small as a coin, arranged in a complex system that allowed the device to perform calculations. Using advanced X-ray imaging and CT scanning technology, researchers have painstakingly reconstructed how this machine worked, and the results are absolutely mind-blowing. This wasn't just a simple gear system. The Antikythera mechanism was an analog computer designed to predict astronomical positions and eclipses decades in advance. It could calculate the positions of the sun, moon, and planets, predict solar and lunar eclipses, and even track the 4-year cycle of the ancient Olympic Games. The level of astronomical knowledge required to build this device wouldn't be matched again until the development of mechanical clocks in medieval Europe more than 1,000 years later. Think about what this means. In the 1st century BCE, someone possessed the knowledge, mathematics, and engineering skill to create a portable device with gear trains, differential gearing, and a sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics. This is technology that historians thought didn't exist until over a millennium later. It's like finding an iPhone in ancient Rome, a technological artifact so advanced that it forces us to completely reconsider what ancient civilizations were capable of. The biggest mystery isn't just how they built it, but who and why. Was this a one-of-a-kind device, or were there workshops producing these astronomical computers? The level of craftsmanship suggests this wasn't the first attempt. You don't build something this sophisticated without a tradition of mechanical engineering behind it. So where are the others? Were they lost to time, melted down for their bronze, or still sitting undiscovered in shipwrecks around the Mediterranean? If you want to see more mysteries like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these discoveries freaked you out the most. I'm personally still thinking about that golden orb. Seriously, what is that thing?